to the Davenport Coaches Show live from Uccello's here in Caledonia, Michigan. This is Ryan Thompson, Assistant AD for Communications, stepping in for Rick Berkey here this evening, and it's a big milestone for Rick as he is being inducted into the Grand Rapids Sports Hall of Fame this evening, so hopefully I can fill in his shoes tonight, and he's had 44 years, I think it's been, in the Grand Rapids area, so the things that he's done.
Man, you need to feel special right now. You know, I go way back with this guy. I remember doing an interview with him in 1984.
Oh, wow.
I don't even know, were you born in 1984?
I was in second grade, I think.
You were in second grade,
yep,
okay.
Yep.
And I was a young chap, and he did an interview at Crescent High School with me, man, and it seems like I've been with this dude ever since. I actually feel kind of bad being here because, man, he's been good to my life, and he's the true professional when it comes to, you know, this business, and he's easy for our student athletes to do the interviews with, and
yep.
you know, he's a pro about what he does, and it's been a blessing to work with, you know, someone like this, and to say that I was able to work with a Hall of Famer, man. You know, it's not every day you can work with a Hall of Famer, so the both of us need to feel pretty good tonight about what he's done for our careers.
Yeah, absolutely. I've known him as not quite as long as you have, but as a college student at the West Michigan Whitecaps, I met Rick back by 2000, maybe about 2000, 99, 2000, something like that. So we've known each other for quite a long time. So it's good to see him have that success and finally get that recognition that he deserves here tonight. Well, let's talk about the game. Michigan Tech back on Saturday, a very close 16-14 setback for you guys. You know, kind of looking inside the numbers a little bit, I think one of the things we talked about post-game was just some of the running attack. You know, you guys rushed for 55 yards in that contest on 32 carries. And so, you know, at Michigan Tech, is it anything they did in particular to stop the run? I mean, what's your input on that?
They've always been tough, you know, as advertised. Ryan, you and I talked about this last week, and they've been a tough opponent for us, and I know we've had the edge here over the last, 3 or 4 years, but they've always been great games, and they're well coached, and it's a tough bunch on defense, and they gave us troubles. You know, I know a lot of people, saw the struggles we had offensively, but they do some things up front that really gives an offense, some troubles, and we didn't figure it out till super late. It wasn't early enough to figure some things out, but, you know, a testament to our student athletes, you know, never gave up, never quit. They kept grinding, and it put us in a situation where we, you know, potentially could have won that game in the end.
You guys were without starting quarterback Dewan Mathis in the contest. What's his status for Saturday? Is it something like it's day-to-day, or is that something that we can look forward to seeing him back under center? You
know, Dewan is day-to-day, you know, and it's one of those things that in this new age of college football and, doctors and training staffs are a very important part of what we do. And, you know, it's always what, you know, people don't understand is never truly a coach's decision when it comes to things like that. And, you know, at the end of the day, the most important thing for these student athletes is their health. And we want these student athletes to be healthy, and that's what we have our roster. You know, it's always the next man up, and, you know, our hopes to get him back soon, and so we think about him every day, but in the meantime, we got other guys that could step in and have an opportunity and, help, get us back in the winning track.
Yeah, Mac Vandenhauw got the start. He was 8 for 18. He had a couple interceptions. He was sacked twice. Coaches seemed like Mac got back in that pocket, and at times I feel like, man, he wanted to run out there and scramble. It looked like he went through his first read. If he didn't see that, he got out of there. So how do you get him to kind of be a little bit more patient and go to his different progressions?
Well, you just said it. You know, the only way you can get into that scramble mode is because, you know, maybe some things aren't happening, you know, on the protection. You know, and part of it is when you stuff the run game like that, and you can kind of pin your ears back to get after the passer. You know, when we're in passing situations, it can put you in some uneasy, situations. And you know, Max, man, you know, I've worked with pro athletes, I've worked with amateur athletes, and man, he's in the tops of guys to work with. You know, love him. You know, he's a true professional, you know, of understanding and competing and all those things. And you hate to see things like that happen, you know, especially when it comes to an individual with character that way. He's probably as competitive as they come. he's done a tremendous job for us. He's one of our captains, and, it was unfortunate, but he understands this is part of the game he signed up for, and I can guarantee you this here, he'll come back from it and he'll be better from it. In the meantime, we had a guy come in and just lit it up. It's one that I've been with for some time, and, he knows I've been a fan of his for a while, but it's been so unfortunate for Grant, where Grant has been hurt at the most odd times, and he's had to battle, some injuries. And, the latest injury was one that was inflicted in practice, working with our own players, So just a few weeks ago, I had mentioned to the staff that, man, it's good to see Grant back. I said, I think he's back. And sure enough, Grant's firing on all cylinders. He came in, he had full confidence, command of the offense, and if he's going to be the one we go with this week, what I'm excited about, and so are the players, and we're in a good place.
It does lead me into the next question. You guys are down 16-7, 8:02 to go. You go with Grant, the redshirt senior. He hadn't played a snap since 2023, November 11th at Grand Valley, so that's a long time to not get any game action, and he comes in like he has been playing all along and does an excellent job. So talk about him coming in that right moment for you guys.
For us, we always talk about the next man up, and, he, like I told you, he's been battling injuries, and it's the weirdest thing over course of his career. He's had a few surgeries, and this sports is about opportunity. When you get the opportunity, take advantage of the opportunity, and Grant did just that. And if you notice, Grant has a tremendous release. We talk about getting rid of the football, and that's big, and that's really important to me as, coaching quarterbacks. So I got a good feel for Grant, and the game has slowed down for him. He understands the passing philosophy behind our offense and what we do, and he executed it to a T. And I couldn't be more happy, for Grant. Grant did a great job because, just like Mac, another great young man, a young man that's a West Michigan young man, but throughout his career, he's just battled. Unfortunately, so many, stinking injuries. And but at the same time, it was unfortunate for Mac, but at the same time, opportunity for him to step in and lead the team. And he was really, pleased with that, and then he did a good job for us. He did a good job.
He comes to, that was his first career touchdown pass. I don't know if you knew that coming into that, but that was his first one. It was a 21-yarder to Ernest Sanders in the back of the end zone. And you guys get a stop. You get the ball back. You guys march all the way down to their 27-yard line. The drive kind of stalls. You get a pretty critical delay of game penalty. That pushes you guys back to a 49-yard field goal. Would have been a school record. Ian Jenkins comes up. He hasn't had too many attempts this year. Was there any thought about punting the ball? I know you had all 3 timeouts left. Kind of what went into your decision to go for that field goal there? Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because we saved our timeouts. We had a chance to win it, and with another timeout left, going to have the ball on the other side of the 50. But our kicking coach, Brian Goins, which has done a tremendous job. We've been blessed with, Coach Walker here as a coach and his special teams. His special teams have been amazing. The last 3 years, when's the last time you could talk about a botch snap, a bad punt, a drop punt? You just don't, because he does such a great job of drilling our student athletes. But at the same time, these things happen. We got some young guys in those positions, and those young guys know that this is part of being part of a winning culture. You got to step into those pressure moments and make those plays. And with the timeout, Grant was surveying things, and we would actually bang the timeout, but we thought he was about to snap the ball, and unfortunately he didn't. He took one more peek, to check coverage, and we got banged for the delay of game. And Coach Goins, which having a guy that kicked professionally as a kicker, and Goins has been a blessing for us as well. So between Walker and Goins, man, I've been in a good situation with my special teams, and he came up to me and he said, Sparky, he's good, because we had the wind behind our back.
Right.
And from our angle, he made it, and it looked like he could have banged that thing from 60. Yeah. So we felt really good, about Ian going in there. And the positive thing is for that young man to come in there and put that leg into that ball the way he did and just miss it. Man, we got 3.5 years left, with Ian. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure you're going to see him make those things and break BG's record.
Yeah. Special teams, you talked about it after the game on Saturday with me. It's just one of those things. It's an oddity. I mean, you guys have been so good at that for so long. You have a block punt, a dropped snap on a punt, which led to the eventual go-ahead and game-winning score, and then a muff punt at the end of the game. Have you been able to put your finger on what's going on and how to correct some of those things?
Well, the weird thing is what you just said. The things that have been happening there, it's been 111.
Yeah.
It's one individual, and this is a team game. Our guys know that in order for us to fire on all cylinders, all 11 have to work together, and it comes with, experience now. We're going through those, growth spurts right now with new personnel. BG now, if you think about it, he's no longer with us. Here's a record-setting, all-time leading scorer that's been kicking for you for 3 years.
Yeah.
Our snapper, Joe, he snapped for us for 3 years, So now we got new people in those positions that they got some big shoes to fill.
Sure.
And I'm proud to say those guys were really good at what they did, and one is part of our 10th annual dream team.
Right.
Both of them actually.
Yeah.
And they got some big shoes to fill, man. You got to step up, and they're going to have opportunities here over the next 5 weeks to do it, and special teams, we're going to stay at it. Coach Walker is purely a winner, and he knows his groups have been at the top of the GLIAC year in and year out. We're number one in the GLIAC last year, so the standard is high, and these guys know they got to step up to meet those standards.
Well, that's segment one of the Coach's Show here this evening with head coach Sparky McEwen. We will have him back later on in the show, and right now we'll get ready for Jess Niemiec, who's our head women's golf coach. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back with the Davenport Coach's Show, live from Uccello's. Successful. Your team made it back to the NCAA East Regionals. Yeah. What was life like for you as a first-year head coach?
It was kind of a whirlwind, honestly, going from life I knew as a player and then as an assistant coach into the life of a head coach. It is very different. You wouldn't expect that there would be many differences, but I did feel like it was a little overwhelming in the beginning, but luckily I had a great team behind me that was helping mentor me or with anything that I needed help with. There was always someone available to help me get to where I needed to go. But as far as the team dynamics and acceptance into the team, especially adding in 8 new players, it was a large task to overcome, and I felt like that transition went very well, especially because we were adding essentially a roster size to our already smaller roster. So now we have a large roster for a golf team. So it's, right, a little bit of a challenge in the beginning, kind of meshing everybody together. But I thought they all took it in stride, and everybody gets along very, very well now. And I feel very, very happy with where we are within the team.
Fantastic. You guys, for you in particular, let's go back. Who's a mentor for you growing up, and how did you get involved in the game of golf?
Mostly I went to my grandma's lead with her. I did not golf. I just kind of sat in the cart and experienced the joy that you can have in golf. And I wasn't really into it until my freshman year of high school, and my dad pushed me to join the golf team and because he saw something in me that clearly I did not up until that point. And so with his leadership and showing me how to actually move around the course and how to improve in my golf game, he's the one who really got me onto the course ultimately to play competitive golf. But I've been around golf my entire life within my family, just casually vacationing around. We would occasionally go to some golf courses, and I would play pretty poorly, but I would play, and so that's kind of how I got into this sport, more so moving out of what I originally loved, which was softball, into another sport where you hit a ball really far, right? So
just not moving.
Exactly. And so that's something that I really enjoyed, the mental aspect of golf as well.
You guys have really built your cornerstone of your program behind your academic success. You guys were 4th best in team GPA at NCAA Division II last year. Is that really the first thing that you kind of look at when you go recruiting?
Yes, it's one of the first things that we look at, especially because we have that legacy of being a team that is in the top 5 historically. That's something that I want to continue, and it is a cornerstone of our program is academic success and just making sure that every single student is focusing on that first, because ultimately the goal is not to go to the LPGA for most of these players. It could be, but mostly the goal here is to get your degree and advance your career and find out where you're going to be in life, and that's something